Hey guys, it's Hazzy. I am back with another video. Bun Bun, be quiet. I don't know if you guys can hear her thumping, but she's thumping for some reason. Anyway, so for this video, I'm going to talk about the word homeless. If you're homeless, are you really homeless? Is it more that you're houseless, or are you home free? I guess there's different situations and different ways to look at it. I have met people that are, I guess, in each of those categories. I wanted to talk about the word homeless first, though, because I feel like that has, like, it definitely has a negative connotation to it. You know, it's kind of like a dirty word, right? When people generally think of homeless people, they think of people that are out on the streets, just sitting on the sidewalk, begging for money, high on drugs, stealing, you know, just all those kind of things, just being a menace to society, basically. However, I think in this day and age, there is definitely a new movement happening where people don't want to work their lives away and sit in a house and have to pay a mortgage or even rent. A lot of people rent, and if you do that, you really don't have anything to show for it, you know, when you're done after each month. How would I consider myself at the moment? I guess that's a good question. I suppose one would have to think, you know, what is a home? You know, how would you define a home? For me, a home is a safe and cozy place where you can just relax, you can be yourself, you feel welcome, there's no judgment, just basically a safe place that you can go and be yourself at. And honestly, for me, I haven't felt like I've had a home in a long time. Probably the closest, I'm thinking back, probably the closest to having a home would be when I was last living in and running the Airbnb. And that was from October of 2018 till August of 21. So it was almost 3 full years. And that's a whole other story. I know I have some Airbnb videos from when I first started this channel, so I need to go revisit those so I can make sure I don't tell you guys the same stories over again. But yeah, that was definitely a unique situation. It was something that I stumbled upon. It was great in the beginning, very good, very helpful for me, very healing. And then, like many things, it changed into something that was really not so good, to put it mildly. I actually ended up running the place all through COVID, and it seems like the people that came to the house, the guests, just got weirder and weirder. Sorry, my nose is running for some reason. I got a little sniffle. I don't know, probably the cold air. But anyway, so yeah, it ended up being really weird. So at first that place felt like home, and then it felt like somewhere that I needed to get away from, and I have been floating around ever since. And that's kind of a long time to be floating around, you know, 3 years now. Renting rooms from people at different places, and finding out the hard way that a lot of times people portray themselves to be something else, someone else. And then when you actually show up and live with them and move all of your things in and get settled and comfortable, then they get comfortable as well. And yeah, it doesn't end well. Hold on one second. I don't know why I have the sniffles now that I'm trying to make this video, but anyway. Sorry about that. So, where was I? Yes, so things definitely change over time, and it is not comfortable when you are moving in with strangers because you don't know what this person is really like, you know, what they're really going to be like. And like I said, I had 3 nightmare roommate slash landlord situations over the last year, and also a recent job loss. So those things together have put me into this vehicle for now. And as hard as it is, some days are better than others. You know, I always try to get up and have a positive attitude and stay strong and everything else. But it's difficult when you don't really have a safe place to go to decompress. You know, you have to kind of become your own safe place, your own strength, your own, you know, anchor in the storm, so to speak. And I've also reached a point in my life where I realize I can't do it on my own. So I've been asking God to help me and guide me, and all of that good stuff. I guess that's really something for another video as well. I met a gentleman in St. Augustine, Florida back in 2021. I had started traveling again after I left the Airbnb. I went down to Florida, I spent some time there, I spent some time in Georgia at a homestead, and it was a really cool experience, except for the kidney stone that I ended up I had a kidney stone that was discovered before I left in Maryland, and I didn't realize that I still had it. I thought I'd passed it, and it turns out it got stuck. And I actually, 3 years ago to this day, was at a hospital in Ocala, Florida. My phone reminded me, I have Google Photos, and it reminded me that I was in the hospital. Judging from the photos, I think it was the day of surgery. I was there for 3 days. So yeah, that's a whole other story. That was some of the worst pain I've ever had in my life. But yeah, so mental note, make a video about that. So yeah, I met this gentleman in St. Augustine, and he was in his late 50s, country singer. He had the guitar and everything, you know, the look, you know, with the facial hair, the beard going, you know, everything. He said he was a, you know, old-time country singer. He'd been playing guitar for years, you know, since he was young. And he had, at the time, he had an electric bike. So he had to charge the battery every so often. I forget how long or how many miles it lasted him. He had an electric bicycle, and then he was pulling behind the bike. He was pulling, you know, I don't know how to describe it. He had like a large tote on wheels kind of thing. Like he'd made his own little trailer, so to speak, that he was pulling, and he had, I guess, whatever else he needed, you know, clothes, sleeping items, toiletries, you know, whatever else. I know he told me that he would sleep in a tent a lot of times. He had like one of those little like small, you know, one-man tent kind of things, and he would sleep in different places. And I think sometimes he would pay for you know, campsites and like the state parks and stuff like that. But he was over there, and of course St. Augustine's a really, really big tourist town. And he was, if I remember correctly, on Spanish and Hippolyta Street, which is one of the main drags for people that can kind of sit and busk and, you know, make some money that way from people that are coming by, because there's always tourists there, you know. It's a really, really busy, it's the oldest city in the US. I love St. Augustine. I've had some really good times there, and I met some really great people. So hey, to all my St. Augustine peeps, if you ever watch this. So yeah, he was an interesting man to get to know. I watched 1 or 2 of his shows, and I think I got some footage. The one show, he had actually met another another gentleman that was kind of in the same situation. He didn't have a like the bike or anything like that, but I believe Vance gifted him a guitar, and then they played together the one day, so I have footage of that, so I probably need to find that. I have a bunch of footage that I need to find. I don't really know how to like splice videos together or do any major editing, so I may just put those up as like separate videos on their own. I'm not sure yet, but I'll figure something out. But yeah, so I had met Vance originally at one of the beaches, just outside of one of the beaches called Crescent Beach, and there's a big pavilion there, and a grassy area before you actually get to the steps, you know, the wooden steps where you go up and along and down, you know, to the beach. And I thought he was a really interesting man, and he told me he had been doing this for years, and I believe he had traveled like all across the country, which I find kind of hard to believe with just an electric bike, you know, and you have to stop every so often and you have to charge it and all of that. But he said he loved it, he enjoyed it, and his main point that he tried to get across was that God was always watching him, God was always with him. You know, he's like, if you want to see God in action, just, you know, get to know me a little bit. And so I learned some things from him, and it was pretty cool. And I remember specifically he told me one time, he said, I don't consider myself homeless, I consider it living free. And that's what he said specifically. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, these days with everything rising, prices of everything just going through the roof, cost of living is just unreal. There are a lot of people being priced out of places. So even people with families, people with all kinds of pets. As you guys know, I have a rabbit, but there's people with even children as well, but all kinds of pets, dogs, cats, you name it, ending up in their vehicles because they, you know, something happened and they had nowhere else to go. And I think that's what happens to a lot of us that don't have support. You know, we don't really have people that we can stay with even temporarily. We either don't have or don't want to spend the money on a hotel room, because let's face it, even the less expensive places like the Red Roof Inn, the Ramada, you know, stuff like that, those places you're looking at least $400 plus a week. So that's like $1,600 a month, you know, if you end up staying there for that long. I've heard about dive motels like along Route 40 and stuff like that. I haven't been brave enough to go and investigate any of them. But I've heard that they can be really rough. Generally, they're not in the best areas. I don't know how much the monthly cost is, but I've heard there's just a lot of, you know, negative things that happen there, you know, drug use and things like that, just crime. The rooms aren't the cleanest, there's infestations, you may be dealing with roaches, bed bugs, you know, stuff like that. So that wasn't something that I was willing to really risk dealing with, you know. So yeah, I will tell you from my experience, this vehicle is small. It's not the smallest vehicle that you could ever find or live in. And I'm really grateful that I'm not in anything smaller, but when you have yourself and an animal in a compact SUV, it's not easy. The roof box does help. I don't use it as much as I probably will in the future. I do have a storage unit that is in the general area that I pretty much stay around. And so, you know, I use that to store most of my clothes, and I have way too much stuff in there that I just need to go through. But when I actually am able to hit the road again and travel, I'm probably going to head south. I'm going to be able to put clothes and cooking utensils or whatever else, you know, whatever I don't want in this main area here up in the roof box. It is a... I just heard somebody talking, but I don't see anyone. It's always an adventure filming parking lots, but yeah, so I will be utilizing that more than I do now. I forget the brand of it. I think it's a Sears brand, but it's supposed to be 20 cubic feet of space, which it doesn't seem like it's nearly that much, because if you think about it, you know, you take a foot, 12 by 12 by 12, you know, cubic foot, and 20 of those, I don't see it. But then I never really was too good at math or any of that stuff anyway, so, you know, I have to believe what they say. It definitely is. It's pretty roomy. It is pretty roomy. Sorry, now my nose is itchy. There's always something. But yeah, I found that. I actually found out about it. My friend, and I'm gonna be, just so you guys know, referring to everybody on this channel, anybody that I talk about, whether it be, you know, good, bad, or ugly stories. I'm just going to refer to them by the first letter of their first names, because I think that's just, it just is better for everybody's privacy and protection kind of thing. So my friend T, I've known her for, I want to say 4 years now, 3 or 4 years. I met her in one of the local parks. That's a whole other story. But she is in her early 60s. She's disabled. I think she just turned 62 this year. But yeah, she was on disability and now she's on regular Social Security now that she's 62. But the bottom line is she doesn't make enough money to be able to afford to have her own place with the money that she has coming in. So she's been living in a van with her small dog for, I think, the last 5 or 6 years now, which is a damn shame, honestly. I have helped her get on the lists and try to sign up for EBT and things like that, but sometimes the system just doesn't help, you know. So, but my point of bringing her up is she actually showed me the roof box that she has, and I ended up really liking it. And I saw how it was hooked on. It's hooked on underneath with like U-bolts, and it was like really easy to, you know, attach and all of that stuff. So I looked for one. I wanted to find the same one, and I did. I think I found it within a couple weeks once I started looking, and I found it on Facebook Marketplace, but it was actually in Pennsylvania, so it was about an hour drive from me. Now this was a few years back. It had everything. They had everything: the U-bolts, the 2 keys for the lock, and excuse me, everything worked perfectly. So I went and grabbed it. I think it was $60, and it's been well worth the investment. I love it. It's so helpful. If I just want to get something out of here, I can throw it up top and call it a day. It is a little tall. I can stand on my tippy toes. I'm 5'8", so I can stand on my tippy toes and push it open, but I can't always get a hold of everything inside there, so I do have a little like step stool thing if I need it, that I carry in the back for such things. But it's been really helpful. I call her Big Bertha, because she's a big bee and she can fit a lot in there. I can fit a lot up there. As far as the future, like where do I see myself in the future? I know that I could not have carried on the way that I was. There's a cat running across the parking lot. There's some feral cats over here. Yeah, that was funny. But I could not have carried on the way that I was with just, you know, moving from random place to random place and having it all work out. Like, that's just way too stressful. And I really want to travel again anyway. I think I had mentioned to you guys before that in 2020, I flew out west and I did a bunch of traveling out there. And then I also built a tiny home out of a cargo trailer with the guy that I was over there with. And I loved it. You know, I loved the traveling. So I want to do that again anyway. In the future, I would love to get, I'm not sure which way I'm going to go yet. I'm kind of doing my research and really, you know, thinking and trying to figure this out. But one of my options is I could get myself a small teardrop. It would have to be a small light teardrop that I could pull with my SUV. I can pull up to 1,500 pounds. That's the weight, the allowable weight on this vehicle. Outbound trailers, that's what they're called, outbound. They have some really nice trailers. I found out about them on one of the nomad groups that I'm in, and there was a lady that was posting about hers, and I reached out to her and started talking to her, and we actually stayed in touch and became online friends. And yeah, she loves hers. She doesn't live in it full time or anything, but she takes it on camping trips and everything, and she absolutely loves it. So that's a possibility. But then of course you have to deal with hooking up a trailer and unhooking it and all of that stuff. Another potential option would be getting myself an RV, probably a smaller one. I know it can be a pain dealing with all the tanks. You have your, I guess, fresh water, drinking water, gray water, and then the black tank. I saw how that worked a little bit when it came to the tiny home that I helped build in 2020, and dealing with those tanks can definitely be a pain in the butt. But it would be really nice to have a vehicle that I could actually, you know, stand up in. That's kind of important. Stand up in and cook in, and, you know, feel more comfortable. Like you can actually spread out in it, you know, you can stand up in it, you can walk around, you know, that kind of thing. And then have different little places where you can sit, you know, sit and like work on something, or have your bed over here, you know, have a little like kitchen area with a sink, you know, that kind of thing. So it's a lot to think about, definitely. I won't be able to pull the trigger, so to speak, and purchase anything like that in a while, judging by my current situation. But it's nice to just kind of sit and think and daydream about it, you know. I'll get there someday. But yeah, I couldn't have continued in doing what I was doing because it was just so stressful, and I accumulated so much trauma from these people because they were literally abusive to me when I was there, when I was living there. And like I said, I'm gonna make videos about the three of them and what happened. Like one video probably about each roommate, because it is a lot. So you guys can kind of understand you know, why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling and doing this now. But yeah, it was a mess. and I don't want to do that again. I would rather have my own rig of some sort and be able to stay at campgrounds, or you know, other places where you can rent the land, you know, or a spot. I know there's a bunch of apps now that you can find places like that to spend the night. Another thing that I'm thinking of would be to stay at a homestead somewhere, you know, find a live work situation at a homestead. Yeah, this whole 9 to 5, you know, regular society rat race thing, it's never been for me. It never felt right. It gave me anxiety. all of that. So yeah, and also going back to my point earlier about what would you call home, I never really even felt at home growing up. And I may have to do a video on that because there's a lot to it, but when you grow up with parents that are abusive to you in several ways and treat you like you're less than and call you all kinds of names and put you down, that really messes with you. That really F's you up. And yeah, I do have a potty mouth sometimes, but I'm trying to tone it down for YouTube because I don't want to get in trouble. But yeah, when you grow up feeling that way, it can really affect you, you know, in your adult life. And I know there's going to be people that say, oh, well, you know, get help and get over it and yada, yada, yada. But it's not that easy. It's not that easy. I have talked to and been a patient of several doctors over the years. Gosh, over the last probably 20 years now. Seen different doctors, been put on different medications, you know, all of that. None of them, as far as psychiatrists or psychologists or therapists, ever actually gave me tools to heal, to work on myself, and to process the trauma, to process everything that I went through. They didn't give me anything that was really helpful. So after years and years of doing this, and finding out that I have PTSD from my childhood as well as other things, I realized that I have to figure it out on my own. You know, some of us don't get the answers that we have been seeking, and we just have to keep putting one foot forward, you know, in front of the other, and just try to do the best we can every day and try to figure things out for ourselves, because we don't have we don't have the answers. We didn't get the answers. We didn't get the right treatment. You know, all of that. So yeah. So homeless, houseless, or home free, I guess that all depends on you, you know, on the person that is experiencing it. I think there's definitely different levels to it, different let me get the words together. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are choosing it now. I know several people that actually have school buses that they have built out into homes. I know of a homestead down south, a schoolie homestead, where they welcome people, you know, to come in, and you can either come and stay and, you know, relax and enjoy, you know, the land and the clubhouse and everything else. Excuse me. Or you can build out your own schoolie, or really whatever vehicle you have, you know, whether it be a van, an ambulance, you know, whatever you have. They have a whole workshop there, and There is help, you know, from one of the owners. You can hire him. And I'll talk more about that place in another video. But yeah, so I guess really, how do I conclude this video? I guess you kind of have to ask everybody that's in that situation, everybody that's in this situation, you know, that is living in a vehicle, like, what do they consider themselves? You know, is it by choice? Was it forced upon you? You know, are you enjoying it? Are you having a hard time with it? Do you have other options? Like, are you doing it because you want to travel? Like, there's a lot of I'm trying to find the right word. There's a lot of questions that you need to ask. There's a lot of things to think about when it comes to that. So I definitely consider myself to be in a transitional period right now. This is what I have to do to protect my peace. Because I was absolutely done with living with these people and paying good money for a room just to not even have any peace when I came home, and having to deal with other people's BS because they didn't want to deal with themselves. Like I said, 2 of them were alcoholics. The first lady, she just had other issues, other mental issues going on, because there are some people that feel very out of control and they project and deflect their own BS onto you, and they try to control you, and then when they can't control you and they find that out the hard way, then they get really mad at you, and then it usually goes from being like them doing passive aggressive things to being more direct about it, and either, you know, saying something to your face, or if you're more of a coward, like a few of them were, saying stuff over text message, instead of actually confronting a person and speaking to them like a human being. And I grew up with that kind of stuff. You know, my parents were like that. My mom especially. My mom, dealing with her as an adult, can't do it anymore. Too much passive aggressive BS. My dad, I haven't spoken to him since I was probably 20 years old. A long time now. And you know what? I don't miss him because he's just toxic. So I suppose the moral of the story is do what you need to do in this world to feel safe, to protect your peace. If life feels overwhelming, just take one day at a time. Try to get through that day. Do the best you can during that day, and remain hopeful. Remain hopeful for the future, because even if you feel stuck right now, that doesn't mean that you have to be stuck. That doesn't mean that you will be stuck. This is just one part of your life, one moment of your life. So if you're having a hard time, I encourage you to keep going. Keep going. The sun will come up tomorrow, and you never know, something amazing might happen. You never know. Anything's possible, right? So just stay strong and keep the faith, and pray. If you are a person that likes to pray, definitely pray. You know, reach out to whoever is your higher power, you know, and ask for help. So sometimes that's all you can do. Bunbun's being good next to me. So anyway, this video ended up being longer than I thought, but hopefully somebody watches the whole thing. I have no idea if that'll happen, but you know, let's hope. If you liked this content, if you liked this video, please go ahead and smash that like button for me. Leave a comment. I would love to hear from other people that are in this situation, or camping or traveling or whatever. I would love to hear your thoughts, your feelings on this. If you want to see more of this type of content, go ahead and smash that subscribe button for me. I think I'm only at 80 subscribers right now, but I'm hoping to build this channel into a supportive community of sorts, like a supportive nomad community type of thing, because I think a lot of us are going through stuff. So yeah, stay strong. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.